Here's how I crammed the UCAT and scored in the 99th percentile. So most people will start their UCAT prep about 8 to 12 months out from the actual test and will progressively go from low practice to high practice later on. I think back then the education wasn't as great as it was. And so I probably started practicing hard in around March, probably 4 months out from my test. Now, I'd done some pre work before that. And so this isn't necessarily just leaving everything to the last minute cramming, but all high achievers, I think, still do some aspect of cramming later on. They still do their preparation, but the last 1 to 2 months are still hard work, grinding it out and just eking out those last few marks. And so I think everyone should really have some aspect of cramming in their planning, even if it's just to take you from the 95th to the 99th percentile rather than the 50th to the 90th. And there's 3 Ps that are involved in successful cramming. Number one, plan. Think about all the resources that you have. And so here, what I would encourage you to do is write out what do you have available between now and the test. Do you have Medify and Mid-Entry, and how many exams? How many mini-mocks? How many practice questions? And then you can come up with a plan and on how many you want to do per week. Now, the number of exams on these platforms is just increasing year on year. There used to be only 8 exams on Medify, for example. And now there's like 20 something, I think. So you don't need to do all of them, but have a plan. Let's say you wanted to do 1 full exam per week. Okay, write that down. Figure out exactly when you're going to do that. How many mini mocks are there? We should probably finish all the mini mocks, right? So let's say you have 10 mini mocks in each subtest left. Right. Well, if you have 10 weeks to go, you want to be doing 1 mini mock in each per week. So maybe on Monday you do a VR, Tuesday you do a DM, Wednesday you do a QR. So figure out all your resources and allocate them out, and then come up with some sort of daily or weekly plan on how many sets you want to do and what exams, mini mocks, and practice questions you want to get done. Number 2 is practice. So people will just think, I just need to do more and more questions, more and more questions. And that will help to a degree, but how you can make that hard practice into smart practice is to have a goal for each practice session. Just have one goal. And let's say you're doing verbal and you're getting like 25 out of 44. Then if you just keep practicing it, your score is probably not going to reach 30, even after like 10 sets of practicing. But if you have a goal, which is, let's say, I'm currently guessing 5 questions, let me just finish the test. It doesn't matter if I get 15 out of 44. I just want to finish all the questions with 36 seconds spare. That's the only thing I care about here. If you just have that goal, that's a lot easier to accomplish than saying, I want to go from 25 to 30 this set. But how? You have to be specific. It has to be a SMART goal. Okay. Now, I'm not going to test myself by listing out the SMART acronym, but it needs to be something specific, something that's actionable, something that's attainable. And spell it out, not how I need to go from this score to this score. How? How do you fix your timing? How do you avoid this particular mistake? Work all that out. The review section is the most important part. Why did you put the wrong answer? Why did you miss the correct answer? How did the UCAT trick you? And what piece of logic or change in strategy will you use in the future? You need to answer at least one of those questions for every question you got wrong or spend too much time on. Just doing more and more questions will help a small amount, but you could be doing more with less time if you had a goal, one goal for each set, and a plan of reviewing. So plan number 1, practice number 2, and number 3, perform. Once you have your goal, obviously you need a way of measuring it. And so what I would do is have a log, and I would basically measure every single score that I got and track a few metrics if you can. So maybe I'd say today I did verbal, I got 25 out of 44. I guessed 7 questions, and I exceeded the rule of 1.5 on 10 questions. Right? If you don't know what the rule of 1.5 is, check out my recent video because that's important. That is how you get your guess questions down. So it's weird. So you get your score up by getting your guesses down. You get your guesses down by getting the rule of 1.5 questions down as well. So log your scores, and then you should see improvements. If you're stuck at a particular level after 1 or 2 weeks of practice, there's an issue there. You need to figure out a different goal or some other way of reviewing, because plateauing is actually desirable, but maybe 1 or 2 weeks out from your test, not 1 or 2 months out from your test. So whenever things start to get static, that's when you either need to reflect on your goals, reflect on your review process, or get extra help. So if you remember the 3 Ps, plan out what you have to do, practice in a way that's both hard work and smart work, and have metrics that assess your ability to perform across multiple things, then you'll be in the right position. Remember, UCAT scores fluctuate normally. You might get a hard set of VR, an easy set, something might have happened, you might be hungry, and that can affect your performance. So you might just, go from 80th percentile one day to the 90th the next. That's fine. The trend is what matters. No one score in isolation is that important. So be diligent with your log, but always be thinking, how can I get the most efficient practice possible? And how can I beat everyone else and get in that top 5 to 10%? Fill out the form below for more free resources and for further pieces of advice. And I'll just send you weekly emails offering some assistance. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, stay tuned because I'll put out a new video next week.